Today's a big day. This is a day that I've been waiting for a while. It is the debut of the Terraino Castles and Catacombs set. I'll be showing you the first pieces from that, talking a little bit about the philosophy of this set, what it's going to be used for, outside the obvious of Castles and Catacombs, and going over some changes to the other manuals that are going to be coming up. And all these templates and these beta pieces are available to all Patreon founders and members. So get in on that so you can start building these pieces. If you have any feedback on these pieces, please let me know. You can also catch me on our Discord server, the Terraino Discord server, or you can just catch me on Facebook or, of course, on Patreon. I look forward to hearing what you think. So let's get started. So, to talk a little bit about Terraino Castles and Catacombs, we need to talk first about the evolution of Terraino through the current manuals, the Basics Manual and the Taverns Manual. The Basics Manual started out, well, pretty basic. You had walls and you had connectors. Solid walls, 3 pieces of foam, that's it. It got expanded a little bit with pocket doors. These were kind of neat because they could be a door or they could be an archway. So this was a good starting point, and a lot of people get a lot of use out of just these pieces and the connectors that come with them. The Taverns and Towns set, though, added more detail to the pieces. But in doing so, it also increased the complexity of making these pieces. You have multiple cutouts, and you have all these pieces are essentially single purpose. This is a door. This is a wall, this is a window, this is an archway. So what we're talking about doing for Terraino Castles and Catacombs is taking this idea and having it make all these pieces out of one piece. Basically, this came out of the idea or the fact that I wanted to find faster ways to make Terraino. I also wanted to leverage the time you put into making Terraino in the best possible fashion. And to me, that means instead of making 4 pieces that do 4 different things, you make 1 piece that does 4 things. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit about. So let's first show you one of the first pieces. This is a 4 square wide wall, and it looks like this. Now, it doesn't look like a whole lot, right? Actually, let me show you both of these. These are both 4 square wide walls. It doesn't look like a whole lot. Basically, right now, it could be a pass-through, it could be a window. It could be, a series of archways. If you connect them together, it could be one tall wall of windows, for instance. But in doing it this way, you'll notice there's a gap in here, right? Just like a giant pocket, just like for the pocket doors. The idea with this is that this piece is the complex piece you build. It's basically a shell, right? It's the pocket. And it's also, you'll notice it's in one color. So you can literally just slap paint on this and you're done. You don't have to worry about trying to get all those little intricate details in there if you're doing like wood and then you're doing brick underneath, for instance. But with this, you have a lot of versatility. Firstly, you could have it just be a window like this. Or if it's on the outside of a keep, let's say, like these are around a tower, you could put arrow slits in it, like this. Now these, that's actually upside down. Now actually these arrow slits, this piece could also be a different color. It could be solid, as in a wall. So it could also just become a wall with some relief onto it. And you can also do the same thing with this. Here you can put in a kind of a neat piece like that. So you already have kind of like an archway kind of set up, a large window, arrow slits, and a smaller window. On top of that, we're also going to be able to do sort of pseudo glass windows, and they look like this. Now, this is where the special sauce comes in. You can do these in 2 different ways. You can either do them the way that I have here with light pockets in them. These are from the Terraino Tech Manual, by the way, and I'll go into more detail on how to make this piece. But basically what this allows you to do is basically make a window that sort of lights itself up. Now, it may be hard to tell here. I might actually be able to turn off these lights. Maybe, let's see here. So as you can see, it might be a little hard to tell, but there is actually little flickering lights in there. And when it's sitting at the table and it's evening or whatever, it actually does show up pretty well. So with this kind of a setup, you can actually put this into these guys, and you can get some, you can get glass walls. But now to assemble and put this in there, you do actually have to take the batteries out and then slide it in. So you'll notice also with these, before I do that, these are also socketed. So now not only do we have socketed connectors where you can put torches in, we have socketed walls. And there is the socket. The 4 square wide one actually has 2 sockets. And they match up with these 2 light cartridges. So you just put it in here, slide it down to the bottom. Now, by the way, when you put these in there, you want to do it without the batteries in, because if you try to do it beforehand, it's going to be very hard to get this in there. And then you just slide the batteries in. Just like that. And so you get this wall, and it looks pretty good, I think. And these textures, by the way, that are on these walls, on this glass, they will be included in the beta manual that you can get right now at patreon.com/GameGearMaster. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of different patterns in there. We're also going to do a more sort of a regular window with like leaded glass. You'll see that in a little bit. So in this situation, we have some kind of cool options. By the way, like I said before, you don't have to make this piece. This is relatively complex. But you can just do it as a solid piece of foam if you don't want to work with the lights. No big deal. You can still get that glass effect. Now this introduces a new material into the Terraino family of materials of foam board, glue, paint, and all that other stuff. And it is packing tape. And yes, it is from Dollar Tree. And yes, you want to get the one from Dollar Tree or an equally cheap, crappy version, because this stuff is super, super thin. Yes, it's terrible packing tape, but it's really good for making windows. Why do we want it to be so thin? Because we want to make sure that when it's wrapped, when this guy is wrapped in that packing tape, you know, you can do up to 2 layers of it by the time you're done, because that's going to be part of the structural integrity of this. It actually keeps it together. You're going to want to make sure that it doesn't get too thick to slide in here. Now, if you're using the best quality packing tape you can get, it will not fit in here. So yet again, the Dollar Tree crappy stuff, really cheap, is what you want to do. And it looks like this. It's the Tool Bench brand. I can't verify other versions will be as good, but this stuff is great, and it's super cheap, obviously. So that's kind of that in a nutshell. Now, and as always, there's multiple versions of this. We also have, these are all, by the way, all these pieces are in the beta manual. So you have the same situation here, where you have inserts for the 3 square wide walls, and also you have windows. And you can see there's different designs too, which is kind of cool. So you can put in this side here. And now I've done them so they're different on each side. I would probably do them on the same side if this wasn't for demonstration purposes. But you can see there's different ones to choose from. And there's also the full leaded glass. Let's put these away over here. That looks like this for all the windows. They're also in all the sizes, and that fits in there just like that. And there you go. Well, the light's on, you're not gonna be able to see this, but so yeah, so there's a lot of different choices for this, which is kind of cool. So all this stuff is made possible by new templates, and I say new because I've taken a different approach to templates. Again, when we had just these guys, just the basic set, they were basically a rectangle. That's pretty much it. It was pretty easy to figure out. And then by the time we got to Taverns and Towns, they got a little bit more involved. And by the time you made all the templates for Taverns and Towns, you had a big old collection. And what I started noticing was a lot of those templates were very similar. Like they could, if I had thought about it in a different way, a lot of those templates could have consolidated down to less templates that did more work. So let's look at a couple of the templates from the new set. And they're all going to be basically the same kind of look and feel for all the different wall pieces. But let's just look at the ones for the 3 square wide wall. Now, you're also going to notice they have a lot less ink on them. And this is because you guys were probably like me, you're probably printing them on home printers where the ink is like $1 million a gallon. So I wanted to cut down on the ink. So I went away from solid colors, first of all. I also wanted to make it much more self-explanatory what each item is. So you can see here it says exterior. So this is an exterior piece of the wall. You can see here, if I lay this next to it, you can see that. And here's the interior. And here's the inserts. These are the items that you can slide in to the different pieces. Now you'll notice this doesn't exactly look like this. It actually looks like two of these on top of each other. Well, that's because this template does a lot of work. First of all, it's templates for two pieces, this piece, and some new pieces we're introducing, which are double height pieces. More on that in a second. So you can see here there's a dashed line here denoting where the two pieces split. So this is the top piece, that's the bottom piece. You also notice that this is not colored in because that's optional. You can actually take this out for certain versions of the window so you can get a different look of the window. And also, obviously, this is in the brown with exterior, so you know this is the exterior template. And here on the interior template, you're going to notice this bar with the hash on the outside. Well, this is a new item on the templates that I'm calling scaffolding. Scaffolding allows us to make sure that this template is usable without it being really brittle. So, and also makes the pieces that we make from it a little bit more sturdy until we put them all together. For instance, for this template, if I did not have this bar here, this entire template would be held together by this small 1/8 inch wide strip, and that would be terrible. You'd break it in a heartbeat. The other cool thing with this is when you cut out a piece, this scaffolding will stay onto the piece until you glue it together to make the insert, right? So then you put glue on the insert piece here and here, glue it on. Once it's dry, you would cut out the scaffolding and take it away. What that ensures is that not only is this going to stay together as one piece, this width, this pocket inside, is going to be the correct width. You don't really have to worry about it. Now you can confirm that width with another thing here, which is this tool that's in there. And that's just to make sure that whatever, you know, when you're putting the pieces together, you can say, oh, okay, look, that's good room. You'll also notice that this double height philosophy extends to the inserts, and all inserts are in this kind of purplish blue color, and they all say insert on the side. So this is the one for the window inserts, and this is the LED pocket, right? So that's for this guy and also for the full length ones that I'll show you in a minute. So you can see that they all have the dashed lines, and here you can see where the separate pieces will be cut if you were going to do them as two separate pieces, and where you would keep them together if it was going to be one long piece. So yeah, so that's the basic idea of these. And you also notice that I've now marked the items that are tools. Tools are in this gray color, and there are things like the jig, there are things like the spacer, there are things like this connector spacer from the basics manual. And most of the tools will be put on foam, like this, you can see. And these insert spacers, you'll see here it says wrapped in tape like you would an actual LED pocket insert. So this is actually wrapped in a couple of layers of the packing tape here to simulate a light pocket, so you can verify all the things fit correctly. You know, this gap that is created there is the right size. So let's talk a little bit about the basics and tech sets, because now that we're doing these double height windows, we're going to need some new things. First off, we're going to need new connectors, and we're going to do double height connectors. Right now we only have the detailed version, but we will eventually be making some simple versions of these. But this is basically because we're doing a castles and catacombs set, right? Castles are generally pretty vertical. So for my set, I would like to have a lot of verticality in it. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to say, well, verticality is not great at the table, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I have some solutions to that as well. And also, quite honestly, I don't really care. I'm okay if my players will have to maybe make a little bit more of an effort to look. I think it just looks so damn cool on the table. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that these pieces are structurally stable, even when you have a lot of them stacked. Like if you have a tower that's 1.5 feet high, I want to make sure that it stays together well. So the solution to that is to double the height of connectors. So you can actually make these self-contained, really structurally sound pieces that work great together. So yeah, I don't think I've actually even put these ever together before. There we go. Some other cool things with these are the templates for them, by the way. Connectors have this cyan color, and these are also going to be in the beta manual. There's also a new piece for connectors that we're also going to be introducing in this manual, and those are called sleeves. This one, this is a sleeve. What they basically do is, and this is kind of neat, I think this is a really great way, again, it goes back to having one piece, multiple purposes. So this is basically a decorative piece that you can actually wrap and attach to your socketed item and then put it on the connector itself. So now you have this decorative piece, and more on these decorative pieces later. This is just the first one to kind of release right now in beta. But in this way, you can add decorations and other things that are going to be coming to the walls in a really, really easy way. I feel really excited about this. There's also one cool added benefit to this. When you have two of these sleeves on a connector, on a straight connector, you can actually put two battery items on a side. You can have one on one side and one on the other side, which is very, very cool. So you can have lights on both sides of your connector, on your straight connectors, which is neat. Just a little added benefit there. These are actually glued on here before realizing, wait, I shouldn't glue them on. They should be separate so you can actually mix and match. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how these guys are made. So for instance, this is the one for the 4 square wide wall, right? That's for this guy, or this guy here. This is the interior piece of that. And that is the 1 square height wall, the 10-foot high wall section of this template. And then it has 2 of the pocket LED cartridges here and here. I'm trying to find where I can find. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's one in the back. You can see here, I made one so you can actually see how that sits in there. So basically what it is you make this pocket first, and there will be more detailed instructions in this in the final non-beta version of this manual, but for right now, I feel like folks can maybe get started with this. This is the light pocket that you make. Is exactly like the cartridges from the Terraino Tech manual. You build that first, you put it in place, and then you hot glue it just to kind of hold it in place, and then you wrap it in one round of masking tape, cut off the excess masking tape, put on your printed texture for the window, and I do that with a glue stick. Just kind of glue that, put that on the foam itself, put that on, let it dry. And then once that's dry, I just wrap it in the packing tape, and then you're done. That's it, you're good to go. And they're relatively durable. They're not super durable. So when you put them in to a Terraino wall, you kind of want to be a little careful that first of all, that the 2 cartridges match up and they line up and go through. And you just kind of want to be a little delicate with it. And you want to grab it on the foamy areas, not in the middle, because that would not be good. But I've used them a little bit now and kind of pull them in and out, and they do okay. I mean, I haven't had any break yet. So yeah, but I'm curious to see, how you make out with it. Oh, and just as one last, I was saying you can make walls out of these. You can also just put a brick piece in there, which is kind of cool. So then it just kind of becomes a wall with a nice little decorative feature. Maybe that's a secret door, who knows? You can do this for all of them, obviously. And I really like this kind of versatility because you really have a lot of options with what your walls are and what your pieces can do for you. You have one piece, many uses. So I finished the whole video and then I realized I never actually showed you that these are also going to fit with the pocket doors we made. So all these guys, the single ones, you can also use to make doors. You could also make a really big door out of this if you'd like, or make a kind of an odd narrow door, I guess. But just wanted to get that in there as well. So let's talk about double height pieces. I'm really excited about these. It adds a lot of things at the table. You will be seeing my big Terraino set that I'm going to be doing for Castles and Caverns, and I think it'll become clear why I want to do these large pieces, because it's going to be a large set and it's going to be very vertical. And I think that's a fun challenge, and it's been a fun challenge for me to figure out how to make that work at the table. But here is a large piece, and here is the accompanying light for that, and I've also been messing around with some different colors. I think this one might have a different color in there. I don't remember if I remember. Yeah, so this one's got green. This is kind of neat when it's dark. But that just goes in here like this. Oh, let me take the battery out. There you go. So you can see here I've actually did it, remember I was saying that this is sort of an optional piece on these guys. On this side I took it out. And on this side you also just have the leaded glass. And this is the same, you can do this can do the same kind of double duty that other Terraino pieces do. Where you can do an insert in here and change the look and feel a lot of the piece itself. I was also playing around with some different colors here. So yeah, I really like this idea. I'm really excited about it. I think it's fun. And here's the large. This is so beautiful. I love these. I'm looking forward to having a row of these with, you know, maybe a couple of these underneath. This is the great thing too. Like these are all, they're modular with each other too. So like you make this and visually it all carry through. You can also do like down here, you can have this kind of a thing, or you can do large openings here. It just kind of all fits together visually, which I love. And I played around with some different colors that I thought kind of might be interesting. Yeah, so it's kind of neat, and I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you guys, I can't wait to see what you guys do with these. And this is just the beginning. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming. You know, you can sort of assume, I'll tell you right now, that this kind of modular approach to walls is going to propagate to ground and grid tiles too. And I think that is going to lead to easier to build and more versatile ground tiles. So stay tuned for that. I'm still working out some kinks, but expect to see that next month. In the meantime, I will be putting little updates as needed to these beta pieces, but otherwise they are available right now at patreon.com/GameGearMaster to all GameGearMaster members and founders. So hope to see you there, and if you have any thoughts or suggestions, please get in touch. I'd love to hear what you think, and I'd love to hear if you think this is not going to work, because that's just as valuable as knowing whether you like it. So until next time, thanks.